Hi guys, Jane here, and today we are doing my best and worst of 2018 video. Um, I just started YouTubing this year, and I tend to review books and movies, and I didn't have enough that I read this year to do like a top 5 or least favorite 5 or anything like that, so I'm just kind of putting it all in one video. These are not necessarily things that came out in 2018, but they are things that I saw/read in 2018. And they are, most of them are going to be like my winner and an honorable mention, but not all of them because I didn't necessarily have enough. All of these are things that I've discussed on my channel, I'm pretty sure, except for one series that I read at the beginning of the year before I had started my YouTube channel, but I did want to include. So without further ado, my best and worst of 2018. And we're going to start off strong. We're going to start off with the best. The best book I read in 2018 was Autobiography by Christina Lauren. And this follows a boy who is struggling. He just moved to Utah, and he is fallen in love with the teacher's assistant, who is also a boy. And they're in Utah. And that's a problem because the boy that he's in love with is Mormon, and not just Mormon, but the bishop's son. So it's a really complex book that deals with, all the issues that come with prejudices against homosexuals, and it's also like just the main character's personal journey. And I love this book. It was, I think, it might be the only book I gave a 5-star to this year. I don't give out 5 stars lightly. And I do think it was very personal for me because I grew up Mormon, and so it hit home in a way that a lot of other books didn't. So I really, really loved it. I totally recommend it. It was the best read of the year. I loved it. Honorable mention. I really, really loved City of Ghosts as well. I read it and I was so surprised by how good it was that I really, I couldn't quite say it was my favorite read of the year because I only gave it a 4-star, like a 4.5 star, I think, because it's not a complicated book. It's about a girl who can see ghosts, and she goes to Edinburgh, and her best friend's a ghost, and they meet other ghosts, and it's just a fun middle grade read, and it really is good. I really enjoyed it so much. My honorable mention best book of the year, but I just couldn't. Autobiography still won by a landslide. All right, so that was my greatest. Now let's do my worst. And if these are your favorite books, I'm so sorry. This is my personal opinion, my personal experience, and remember, we don't all read the same book. Like, everything in your person comes out in how you feel about a book. And so these two books are very personal for me, as just they weren't right for me. And book one, the absolute worst book I read this year, and I really, really, really did not like this book, was Book of the Unnamed Midwife. And this book takes place in a world where a plague has happened and a large part of the population has been killed. Of the survivors, there's very, very, very few women. There's 1 woman for every 10 men. And this midwife goes around trying to supply birth control to the women, and she dresses as a man to protect herself. And it has a really great premise. I really loved the idea behind it, and I liked the world. I think it would have been a great TV show. It's very reminiscent of The Walking Dead. But I really didn't like the main character. She did a lot of things that I found really reprehensible, maybe is the best word, and I just couldn't get on board with her. And I don't mind characters who are kind of cruddy people sometimes, like main characters, but I'm not sure why she bothered me so much, but she really, really did. And I couldn't like her. There was also a couple things about the way the story was told that didn't work for me. And this also is a book that features Mormons, and I didn't like the representation of the Mormons. They made them seem very stupid and very like backwoods, and that's not my family. That's not people I was raised with. Like, Mormons don't tend to be naive people, like, and they really got a bad rap in the book, and I didn't like the way that was handled. So there was a lot of things in that book that just didn't work for me. I actually have 2 reviews, a spoiler and a non-spoiler review, and I just, oh my gosh, I think it was the worst, like the biggest rant I've done this whole year. So if you're interested in my thoughts on that, yeah, check it out. But it was a rough book, and I didn't enjoy it. I did finish it, but I didn't enjoy it. And it had so much potential. The second worst book for me this year is another controversial one. A lot of people loved Book of the Unnamed Midwife, and a lot of people love this one too, but it just wasn't for me, and that was The Trauma Cleaner. And The Trauma Cleaner is about a woman named Sandra who is transgendered. She was born Peter. And she opens up, or has opened up, this business cleaning for hoarders and crime scenes and different things. And it is a biography on her. And long story short, I had a hard time liking Sandra. I think she made a lot of really bad choices, including like being a prostitute because she needed drug money for her boyfriend instead of like taking a job that was available, because there was some discussion about this on my page. It was said in the book that she could have taken a job as a shopkeeper, as a clerk or something, but it was too low paying, and so she just decided to prostitute herself instead. And I think that is what bothered me. Like, if she'd have had no other choice to work except to be a prostitute, like, I would have been a lot more sympathetic. But she had other choices, and the book says she had other choices. But she's all like, nah, there's not enough money for my drugs, so I'm gonna go be a prostitute. And then when bad things happen to me, that can happen because you're a prostitute, it was just hard for me to feel sympathy for her. I didn't like her. I didn't like a lot of her choices, and she obviously had a lot of mental health stuff going on, so it was hard to really be on her side about everything. And the other thing is, like, I picked the book up because I was interested in the actual trauma cleaning part of it, and there really wasn't a lot of that. It was mostly like cleaning up after hoarders. It didn't work for me. So that was like the second book I read this year that I really didn't enjoy it. All right, so the biggest surprise for me of a book that was way better than I thought it was going to be, and that one this year was City of Ghosts. I hate using the same book in a category twice, and I didn't really want to do that, but there had been no other books that really I could justify saying it really just blew me away, surprised me with how good it was based on my expectations. I didn't have particularly high expectations of it. Like, I'd heard people talking about it, but I'm like, it's a middle grade book. I hadn't even planned on picking it up initially, but I literally was at the library with my kids, and the book I was reading I kind of was bored with, and I was looking around going, and I saw it, and I thought, oh, well, people on BookTube have been talking about that. Maybe I'll try it. And so I picked it up, and oh my gosh, it blew me away. So I had really low expectations going in, and I loved it. My biggest disappointment this year, there's no second, by the way, on the biggest surprise. City of Ghosts was it. My biggest disappointment. The winner of that one was A Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue. Now here's the thing. I actually really enjoyed the book overall. Like, it wasn't a bad book. It was not as good as I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought it was going to be an easy 5, and it really wasn't. It wasn't a bad book. The characters I enjoyed overall. It was too adventure-y for me, and it kind of got slow and dragged on in a lot of spots. it just, I don't know if it was just so hyped on BookTube that I had these huge expectations going in, but I was really, really disappointed. That was one I thought I was really going to love, and it was okay. I do plan to eventually read Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy, but I didn't even start that one yet. Like, I'd gotten the first Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue and Piracy and Petticoats. I was planning to read them like back to back because I was sure it was going to be amazing. And like then I was like, maybe not. Okay, and the honorable mention in the biggest disappointment category. And again, this is a book that I didn't dislike. I just was really disappointed. Like, I thought it was going to be up here, and it's kind of down, like here. And that was Nevermore. And here's the thing, Nevermore is good. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the plot. I didn't love the world. I haven't read the second book yet. That's on my TBR this month if I get to it, and I may not, because I'm really dragging my feet and I'm reading all kinds of other Christmas books instead because I'm just really not hyped about the second book at all. But yeah, so Nevermore was, if you aren't familiar with it, I guess I should tell you what Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue is too. So Gentleman's Guide to Vices and Virtue is this guy named Monty, and him and his sister and his best friend who he has a crush on go touring Europe. And all kinds of adventure craziness happens as they're doing it. Nevermore is about this girl named Morrigan Crow, and she is a cursed child. And basically, she's supposed to die. And she gets saved by this guy named Jupiter and brought into this fantasy world. And I don't really understand all the specifics of the fantasy world, but if she goes through these trials and wins, she gets to live. She doesn't have to die as this, cursed child. She gets to live. And if she doesn't go through the trials, then she dies. So it's very high stakes. There's a lot of like Harry Potter feel to the book, but it's not Harry Potter. It's not as good as Harry Potter. In my opinion, I didn't love it nearly as much as I loved Harry Potter. And like I said, it was good. It was okay. But it was definitely like something that everybody was talking about and I was super hyped for. And I was just really underwhelmed when I read it. The next category is series I started and am most excited to continue. So I'm probably speaking a little early because I haven't finished the first book, but I'm about halfway through and oh my gosh. And that is, I'm reading currently Cinder, and the series is The Lunar Chronicles. I heard of this series on BookTube. It didn't really sound like it was something for me because I'm not a sci-fi person, but enough people had talked about it that I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And I'd heard somebody say that it's kind of young adult, so it's a nice transition if you don't do a lot of sci-fi. And I don't really read a lot of sci-fi because I find it sometimes too complicated for an easy, relaxed read, which is what I want. So, but I got Cinder, I got it on audiobook, I listened to like the first disc and I was okay, I wasn't blown away. I'm about halfway through now and oh my gosh, I love it. I can't really say how great it is because I haven't completely finished the first book yet, but so far I am just really, really hyped about this book. Really excited, really want to finish it, really can't wait to continue on. So glad I picked it up. Again, by the time I do my review on Cinder, my opinions may have changed if the ending is bad. But so far, I am hyped about this series and really loving it. All right, so a series that I started and stopped. Like, I read a couple books in the series and was like, nope, not for me now. And that was the Harper Connolly series by Charlaine Harris. So Harper is a character who can see or sense dead bodies and can sense like what happened to them. And it's a cool premise. I read 2 of the books in the series. I think it's a 4-book series. And it's a really cool premise. I really liked the premise, but I didn't connect well with Harper. Like, I just didn't like her. And the first book I read was a little bit creepy because she's got this thing for her brother. And yeah, and like I don't necessarily. Oh, he's her stepbrother. I should clarify. So not real incest, just pseudo incest. But like I don't always have a problem with the brother sister thing, but like this bothered me. Like I didn't have a problem with it in like Flowers in the Attic or Game of Thrones. You know, I wasn't necessarily like yay, that's great, but I mean I wasn't upset by it or annoyed. And like these Harper, I just like her relationship with her brother was not a healthy one, not just because of the sibling thing, but like I don't know. I didn't I felt like she was like dependent on him in a not okay way. Like even beyond their step siblings, but just I didn't like it. It bothered me. And like the mysteries were okay, but yeah, it's not a series I think I'll finish, which is a shame because I enjoy Charlaine Harris's work and I love that idea of a mystery with supernatural elements. I do have some other books on my Goodreads that have kind of a similar plot, so I'm hoping I can attach to those characters a little better and read basically that series, but have it be something I'm really like. And then just briefly, I want to go through my movies. Best movie of the year for me that I watched was Ready Player One. For anybody who doesn't know, boy in a video game world, they're trying to find these Easter eggs, because if you get all the Easter eggs, you get a treasure, basically. You get control of that person's stock in the video games, and you'd become rich in a world where poverty is massively difficult. And they're up against a corporation who is trying to get to it first. And it's a really good movie. It was way, way better than I had expected it to be. Like, I thought it would be good because I'd heard if you like video games and if you grew up in the 80s, it's a good movie. It was a really good movie and I really, really liked it. My worst of the year was Han Solo. I really, really didn't enjoy it, even as a non-Star Wars movie. And as a Star Wars movie, it was a super disappointment. So that sucked. Basically, it's Han Solo goes and does a ton of the stuff that we've heard about in like the Star Wars movies, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. He meets Chewbacca. He does the Kessel Run. He gets the Millennium Falcon. And it just sucked. My biggest surprise of the year was Maleficent. I didn't have super high expectations going into that, and I really enjoyed it. My kids enjoyed it, I enjoyed it. It was way better than I expected it to be. It's a kind of a retelling of Sleeping Beauty, but from Maleficent's perspective. It was excellent. I really, really enjoyed it. And my biggest movie disappointment of the year was The Muse. Basically, I didn't have huge expectations going in, but it seemed like a cool movie. It was about a writer who was having trouble writing, so he meets the muse. And it just wasn't good. Like, I really, really was pretty disappointed in the way it turned out and kind of where the story went. So it was a great premise. I really didn't like where they took the story. So those were my best and worst of 2018. I would love to hear in the comments your best and worst movies and books of 2018 that you've read or watched. Also down below is all my social media and the like and subscribe button. This is Jane. I'll see you next time. Bye.